Bad things happen to good people. You're a good person and bad things have happened to you. Today we'll illustrate that through the Zen story of the moon cannot be stolen. Hello everyone, I'm excited to bring to you not only a personal story today, but one of my favourite Zen stories. The story of the moon cannot be stolen, which is something you experience, it's something that I experienced, and I'll get into that a little bit later, but ultimately I just want to let the story speak for itself. And the story goes: a Zen master lived the simplest kind of life in a little hut at the foot of a mountain. One evening, while he was away, a thief sneaked into the hut, only to find there was nothing to steal. Obviously, Zen masters don't have a lot of belongings. The Zen master returned and found him. "You have come a long way to visit me," he told the prowler. And Zen masters were famous for being confrontational. They had no fear. They understood reality, so they weren't scared of the physical body being hurt. So he's gone up and he's told this dude what is. He told the prowler, "And you should not return empty-handed. Please take my clothes as a gift." The thief was bewildered, but took the clothes and ran away. The master sat naked, watching the moon. "Poor fellow," he mused. "I wish I could give him this beautiful moon." At first, on the superficial level, the Zen master sounds like a crazy dude. But what is he doing? What is he exhibiting here? He's exhibiting the fact that ultimately, there is nothing you can take or steal from someone who's going to give you what you want. There's no amount of money that's going to make you happy. There's no amount of possessions that's going to make you a good person. And he saw that directly into the thief. He didn't see someone he should fight or argue with. He saw someone he was compassionate. They had sympathy for, someone who thought that by stealing something from this house he was going to, become happier. And to help him with that, and when obviously there was nothing in the house, through action, through experience, and through walking the walk, the Zen master used an opportunity to give him his clothes. And you can imagine the thief leaving the house with his ratty clothes going, "Why does this dude give him his clothes?" Maybe to come to the insight that he doesn't need the clothes because he's got something else. And then ultimately the beautiful compassion of the Zen monk to say, "Look at this moon, it's so beautiful." Not focusing on the fact he hasn't got the clothes, allowing that to be in the past and being present. And saying, "I love that person so much, I wish they had the moon." My personal story is I recently had my bike stolen. And it was a situation where I noticed it was stolen. I went to go for a bike ride. It was just a push bike, not a motorcycle. And I noticed it had been stolen. I'd spent a little bit of time painting this bike and I was excited about it and I thought about all these different places I could go with it. And what happens is when something gets stolen, the material object doesn't matter. It's your thoughts of what you're going to do with that. It's your concepts of future and past that get stolen. The thing that would have made me angry about the situation is that if I would have lived like I'd lived 5-10 years ago, where I lived in the past and the future, I would have got really angry because I would have said, "Well, hold on, that mountain bike was going to take me to this waterfall that I loved and now that's been taken away from me." No, that hasn't been taken away from me, just the bike has been taken away from me. And I immediately got hit with the realisation that, I'm a really lucky guy. I live in a great country, I've got beautiful family and friends. That person needed that bike more. How badly do I need a bike? I get along fine without a bike, but this person, they needed that bike, and that's why they had to take it. Either because they need to learn the lesson that stealing won't make them happy in the long run, or they legitimately needed something to get around on. And you know what? It wouldn't have happened any other way. The universe has created this situation, and my bike is gone. Now, it's not me so much giving up and saying, "Oh, well, things are going to be stolen from me." It is simply the fact that once it's done, I'm not going to then be hurt. I mean, the person who stole my bike can steal my bike, but they don't steal my peace of mind. And that's what you really shouldn't give up. So how can we bring this into our normal everyday life? So number one, forgiveness. I repeat it over and over again, forgiveness. Why? Because it's for you. This dude doesn't know, unless he's watching this video, and hello, and I hope you're enjoying the bike. He doesn't know that I've forgiven him. So what's the point of forgiveness? Well, it lets me move on. It lets me stop running, angry situations through my head where he's going to get hurt. It's like Nelson Mandela would say that, anger is like drinking poison, expecting the other person to die. Forgiveness is for me, and I've forgiven him to make myself feel better. Number two, it all goes back in the box. Do you remember the Monopoly story? The guy who kept getting beaten by his grandma every week at Monopoly, and he would strive and he would scheme and he would get better and better until finally he beat her. And in glee, he announced that he'd finally beaten her, into which she turned. And after the epic, you can imagine the epic game Monopoly, she closed the board, all the hotels and the money slipped out, and she put it back into the box. And she looked at him and said, no matter what, it all goes back in the box. No matter what gets stolen from you, it's going to get taken from you. You came in with nothing, you'll go out with nothing. Lots of stuff will come into your life and lots of stuff will come out of your life, but it all goes back in the box. Strong with a kind heart. This is pretty much my mantra of how, in particular, a man can live. You should be strong. If I had seen someone stealing my bike, I would have confronted them and said, listen, don't steal my bike. I'd prefer if you didn't, leave it there and go on with your way. I'm not going to run away from that situation, but I'm going to be kind as well. I'm going to understand that if I wasn't able to change the situation, or this situation was escalating, that there's no need to get angry or aggressive or violent. The fact is that I can be strong and I can state my case and I can take my bike back, but at the same time I need to understand this person is not the enemy. They want the bike. They didn't want to steal the bike from me. They wanted the bike. They weren't attacking me personally. 4, the teacher will leave when the student is ready. You know what, I felt like I had to get this bike stolen for me to learn forgiveness and patience. Because it's one thing to talk about, and me on these videos go, yeah, I like to forgive people, it's great. But sometimes the universe needs to say, are you a real dude? Well, I'm going to take something from you and see if you can act that way. So things like this will continue to happen to you until you finally just go, okay, I can deal with it. And then finally this thing happens. You know, it's like Adam Sandler says, when he was poor, no one would buy him a thing, and now that he's rich, he can't pay money for anything because everyone's giving him stuff. A teacher will leave when the student is ready. Chasing material gain at the risk of death. I mean, this bloke who stole my bike, who knows? You know, there's some pretty full-on people in the world, and let's say I was one of those guys, and maybe, you know, if this was America, I might be a gun owner, and, you know, I could have walked out and shot the guy. That's a thing that happens, you know, regularly. You know, trespassers get shot all over the world. And this person was at such need to have an extra item in his life. He risked his own life. What were the chances of him dying? Probably pretty low, but he still risked his life. And we may say, oh, that's a stupid call. And we think about thieves, and we think about people around the world who do risky things to try and get money, like drug dealers or, you know, people who rob banks. But the reality is that we're all doing this. We're all chasing this material wealth at the risk of death. We all know that, you know, diabetes and stress and all these things are linked from our workplaces, and we're all chasing money. We're just doing it a bit slower than maybe a bank robber is. So it's time to remember that what we think these guys are doing, which is like risking everything for material gain, could be something that we're really doing. The Buddha's present to the warrior. This is a great story, which I've told in other videos, but I'll give you the synopsis. So Buddha, homeboy, rocking around India, you know, just chilling. Everyone wants to know more about this guy. He's at peace. He seems like he's really got it together. Sits under a tree, and as he sits, all these warriors of a local sort of tribe start sitting down in front of the Buddha and listening to him talk. And before you know it, there's hundreds of warriors around him, all just intrigued about this enlightened dude who just seems so switched on. And while this is happening, the warlord, the leader of the warriors, realised that all his warriors were missing, and he went looking for the reason. And he walked up and saw all his warriors in front of this old, frail man, and he got really, really angry. And he stood there and he just gave it to Buddha. You can imagine this big bloke warrior just looking at this old man, and he was like, Buddha, you know, you think you're this, you think you're that, you ain't anything, you know, I'm a warrior, you know, these are my soldiers, I could have you killed in a minute, I don't care about your wisdom, you know, it's all junk and rubbish anyway. And the Buddha let him speak, and the Buddha turned to him and said, you know, have you finished? And he goes, absolutely, he's finished. And he said, well, can I ask you a question? He goes, well, of course you can, you know, you little runt, you can ask me any question you want. And the Buddha said, thank you. If someone gives a present, and the recipient of that present refuses to accept the present, to whom does the present belong? And the warlord goes, well, that's an easy question. The present belongs to the person who gave it. It goes back to them. And the Buddha simply said, okay, in that case, I refuse to accept your insults. Boom. So really in this situation, the only thing that can be taken from you is the thing that you allow to be attached to. Don't allow your peace of mind to be stolen. Like I said earlier, people can take your stuff. They can take everything you've got, but they don't have to be able to take your peace of mind. With strength, with the things we've talked about, the lessons in all these videos, you can create a mindset in which your peace of mind exists whether you're having a good day or a bad day. And finally, to my friend, who's not a thief, I'm not going to label this person a thief, he's just a dude doing it tough, he saw a bike and took it, I forgive you. And I hope that you get this message, because you're not a thief. You are a divine spirit encased in a body just trying to make your way through life. You are divine. And if you need a bike, you need a bike. You're totally forgiven. But you're not a thief. You don't steal. You're special. And perhaps this video will reach you. If it doesn't, I don't mind, because we're all connected and we'll get there in the long run. Until tomorrow, goodbye. Last video. Goodbye.